All right, glad to have you back. You're still watching Newsnight here on Arise News with me and the Amogo. Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, has been excluded as the U.S. President Donald Trump is scheduled to welcome leaders from 5 African countries to Washington next week for discussions about business opportunities. A White House official announced on Wednesday that Trump will host the presidents of Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal for talks and lunch at the White House on the 9th of July. Well, the meeting will focus on commercial opportunities that could benefit both American companies and African partners. The absence of Nigeria from the guest list was particularly noticeable, given that it's Africa's most populous nation with more than 200 million people and the continent's biggest economy. Well, the country is also a major oil producer and has significant trade relations with the United States. And joining us now to dissect the diplomatic and geopolitical implications of Nigeria's exclusion from the upcoming White House meeting between President Donald Trump and 5 elected African leaders is Dr. Adoyi Omale, an international relations expert. Glad to have you join us on Newsnight, Adoyi.
Thanks for having me.
Good, fantastic. Let's start this discussion this way. What's your reading of this exclusion? Is it a slap on the face of Nigeria?
Well, I don't want to see it from that angle, that is a slap. This is because America, as an independent country, has a right to engage bilaterally or multilaterally with any group of countries anywhere in the world. So I see this invitation purely that America wants to engage some countries in the West African sub-region, because apart from Mauritania, all the other countries are members of the West African sub-region, ECOWAS countries, whether it's Liberia, whether it's Guinea-Bissau, Senegal. So fundamentally, I don't want to see it so. Why I say that is because the meeting might have its agenda or its focus, why they are calling that meeting. It might not necessarily be a slap, but I understand the apprehension of many people. People believe that any high caliber meeting of that sort, Nigeria should be represented. It's a legitimate and genuine concern. But that does not take away the fact that in international diplomacy, countries can decide to have relationship outside the expectation or the norms that people may think about, especially that Nigeria and America has a very, very robust diplomatic relations. We are still studying the direction of Trump's foreign policy towards Africa. And since he has told this line, don't forget that in 2022, the U.S.-African Summit held in the USA in Washington. And Nigeria was among the 49 countries that attended. So, yes, the US has every right to call a meeting of some African countries. That is my own view about it. Yes, a lot of anxiety that Nigeria was, but this is not the first time. When Obama visited Africa, he chose to go to Ghana. And a lot of people were saying, oh, Nigeria was not, he went to Kenya, he went to Ethiopia. The last president that visited Nigeria, a U.S. president that visited Nigeria was George W. Bush.
But you would think that a country with 200 million more than 200 million people, largest economy in Africa, and major producer of oil, that Nigeria should be invited, even though countries like South Africa, Egypt, which are top African countries, were not also invited.
You have said it. All those countries, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, they are not the largest economy that you can think of in Africa. Certainly not. Egypt is not there. South Africa is not there. Our mates are not there. So America may have their own reason for wanting to call those countries to engage with them. So to me, I don't see any. Moreover, the current administration in the United States of America has a different foreign policy focus than the previous ones.
I was going to get to that. Okay, well, let me just get to that right
Yes,
away
it
that
has
you
a
brought it up.
different-
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio
Yeah.
says, then I want to deal with countries that show the ability and willingness to help themselves. What do you make of that statement? Ability to help themselves?
Well, I know that there are concerns raised by the United States over Nigerians, certain happenings within the country, especially in the areas of human rights, especially in the areas of management of insurgency, banditry, and several security challenges that are happening in Nigeria. The U.S. have not hidden. They have issued a lot of travel advisory and so on. But some of the countries that have been invited, they also have similar challenges of poverty, of insecurity, and so on. I don't want to see it that this particular meeting was summoned to spite Nigeria or to spite any country for that matter. I know that America has a lot of regard for Nigeria. America is Nigeria's highest trading partner as far as we are concerned with the Western world, and it is America's interest to also engage with Nigeria, just like you have said, because of the other global powers. China is there, Russia is there, and it is and you cannot just wash away Nigeria. Nigeria remains a very, very critical part of Africa.
So for you, Adoy, I mean, Trump believes African countries offer incredible commercial opportunities which benefit both countries. So for you, this will not be regarded as a lost trade opportunity, particularly if you think about the fact, I don't know, that there may be other areas, that Nigeria and America still have commercial, business, trade interests.
Definitely. Nigeria and, like I said, Nigeria and the U.S. has a very robust relationship. Nigeria, this meetings of this nature continues. It does not just end with just meeting a group of people. I've given you an analogy. In 2022, when Obama visited some African countries, people were shouting, "Oh, Nigeria was snubbed. Obama snubbed Nigeria," and so on.
But you'll expect that people would shout. Why?
Of course, and that's why I say it's legitimate, because of the reasons that you have given. But what I'm saying is that, you see, to even be more succinct, within the academia, we have talked about delinking from foreign powers. We have also pushed position about being dependent on foreign interests. So why can't we look inwards and arrange our economy and manage what we have and develop ourselves? Really, what I am just wondering, what really can Trump offer to these countries that he's calling? What really? And other than maybe they have interest. Look at recent Trump's conduct as regards Democratic Congo, where he was signing an agreement and so on for U.S. to take their minerals.
The fact of with his first America trade policy,
yes.
Is there going to be a free playing field?
That is the question.
Because when you consider the countries involved, and America, a behemoth as it were, will there be a level playing field as
Certainly not. Certainly not. And again, before I came into the studio, I was thinking that, it might even be a blessing in disguise, because we saw what happened to Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, where Trump virtually embarrassed him. We saw what happened to Zelensky,
which was a shame.
So if that kind of thing happened to our president, it would have been a more devastating slap. So that he's not inviting our president Bola Tinubu. Probably, I'm not saying that if he was invited, Trump was going to behave in that manner, but we know how Trump has treated some of the people that he has invited to the White House. So I don't see, like I said, I don't see it as any big deal whether Nigeria was invited or not, as long as Nigerian various bilateral agreements, but Nigerian various engagement with the United States is still in place. My only worry is that it would have afforded Nigeria the opportunity to raise some of the issues. We learned that the American government is intending to cut visas to some countries, which Nigeria, it was rumored that Nigeria was one of them, and so on. So maybe in a face-to-face bilateral discussion of this nature, it would have afforded Nigeria the opportunity to iron some of these things out with the Trump administration. But outside that, I don't think a meeting of this magnitude will have more impact. Also, note that all the DFID and all the AIDS assistance that Trump has cut to African countries. So really, I don't know, except maybe he's calling these countries to assure them that despite the AIDS cuts and other support that have been given to address certain problems like HIV, like malaria and poverty and so on, which DFID was, maybe he's calling them to explain to them why
he did
what he did.
All right, on a parting note, going forward, because you can't stand one place like this, say, in a part of this nation and watch masquerades, particularly what is playing out. What should Nigeria be doing at this time? And what do you even make of what the former vice president said about this being a, how did he put it? He said is a diplomatic oversight, a verdict on the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Like I said earlier, I don't want to look at it from that angle at all. Countries that are doing very well, like Ghana, were not invited. Even if we look at the West African sub-region, many other countries were not invited. I think these four countries were chosen maybe based on what America intends to do with them. That reason we'll get to know after the meeting.
After the meeting.
But what I don't want is to say that Nigeria has been slighted. Yes, Nigeria, there's nothing you are discussing about Africa that Nigeria will not be a critical part of. Put all those countries together, their population, their economy is yet not up to the economy of Nigeria. That everybody agrees. And Americans know. So
and they cannot even afford not to trade with Nigeria, particularly with the inroads of China.
Yeah, so they are quite aware of all those. Like I said earlier, Americans have their own issue with Nigeria over our democratic system, over human rights issues, over security issues, but they cannot afford not to collaborate with Nigeria on countering insurgency, on military cooperation, and so on.
All right, Dr. Adoyo Male, international relations expert. Thank you for being on Newsnight.
Thank you very much.